In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an automated mega coke farm factory in the barn. Now, this is a 10 worker setup, though you can pull it off with 9 if you do a little bit of the manual labor yourself. But quite simply, we have a coke farm going over here from the seeds to the cauldrons to the labs and then to an 8-stage mixing process. So it starts over here, mixes with this, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, and then this, sent to the brick press where we're packaging them in bricks. Now each brick is worth 20 of the, actual resource. So it's 20 times 7. So in this case, we have like what, 140 in here. And this product itself is worth an absolute shitload. Just for reference, the base product for Coke is worth $150. The product we're making is worth $735. That's crazy. And if you look at my messages right now, you can see people are willing to pay up to $940 for a single pop. So you can easily be making a lot of money for this, a lot of profit. It does require a lot of maintenance though to keep these shelves at the back here stocked up with the mixing ingredients. But if you're willing to invest the time, it's going to make it worthwhile in terms of how valuable this product sells for. So let's run through how this factory in the barn works and what you're going to need to build to set it up. You don't have to copy exactly the layout that I have since you have more than enough space. You're not going to be utilizing absolutely everything. And as you've seen with most of my guides with the farms, I like to have a lot of open space and freedom so that it just feels nice to walk through instead of being like claustrophobic as hell. So immediately when you walk in with the first stage of the process, we have our pots in this corner. You'll see that I fit these large storage racks in the gaps between the pillars of the barn. It just fits nicely and they're like extra storage space. Right now I'm not using these, but they're great to store maybe like your extra long life soil and whatnot. But you can see the pots are pretty much laid out in front of them like this and then like this. There's one that sticks out here and then in front of it a storage access which you could use to store all the end product from there into the storage shelf over here if you so choose. And because we're doubling up with the Botanists so that we have up to 16 pots growing at all times because this is a really slow process for these leaves. So you'll see we actually have a whole nother set of pots set up like this all the way there. So it's pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a line over here with 3 on the end, 1 in the middle towards the pillar, and then the 3 on the end over here too. Now the reason I've laid it out like this in a kind of like U shape is so that I can fit a trash can in the middle. A trash can in the middle over here so that a cleaner is going to pick up all the leaves and the product that is spilled on the floor to make sure this place doesn't just get messy all the time. Same with this location over here. Now, the process of making Coke requires that these leaves go to the cauldron. So instead of actually having them go to the storage shelf, which I initially planned, I decided I would actually have the 8 on this side go to one cauldron and the other 8 on that side go to this cauldron. So you'll see in the cauldron here, they're filled with coca leaves right now, as well as gasoline, which is required to, turn the product into what it needs to be. I have a gasoline storage shelf over here. You don't use these quite often, to be honest. It's actually much better that you pack the cauldrons with gasoline yourself because they only use 1 gasoline at a time. That means it's going to be used like 20 times, and these things take some time as well. So you can actually fill these up yourself so that you can have a handler do 2 other objectives instead of packing these. Now these are run by chemists, so you'll see the chemist will pretty much take the end product here, take it to the lab oven, cook it, then break the product like this. And then from here, they will take it to the first mixing station, which is all the way on the far right-hand side. You can start on the left. It doesn't really matter. I started over here on the right so that they kind of work their way upwards like this. This is so that I can have my end product stacked to the shelf here so that if I visit, I can grab the end product and I can leave and go like stack it up at a dealer or sell it myself. So you've got your 2 lab ovens. Each lab oven is connected to a cauldron specifically, so it looks like this. And the mixing stations are also quite simple. You'll see they're pretty much stacked in front of a large like storage rack behind them with the product that they need to be mixed with. So starting here, then you have another mixing station with the storage rack and pretty much the same process like this with each like storage rack that is like, fit between these pillars that are holding up the barn. So you can see it's really simple. If you do it this way, you get exactly 8 mixing stations. Like I said, you can pack this and fit it out in any way you want throughout this entire warehouse. It's up to you. Now you will have to have a chemist on every single mixing station. So you're going to have a lot of chemists assigned to the barn, and this product's going to move its way all the way to here. Now, instead of using a packing station to pack into jars or baggies, I'm actually using the brick press, which you should have unlocked by this point. You should have sold enough product before you've actually reached this point of the game. The brick press is actually not going to require any jars or bags, which means you don't have to manage and buy all of those extra ingredients. They will just press it into bricks like this right here, like this handler is doing right now, and they'll stack it into this shelf. So it allows you to store a ton of product in order to load your dealers up so that they can hold a lot more, and you can just kind of forget about them and just, collect money from them as they're done selling whatever product they're still peddling. Because this is such an expensive product, it's actually nice to have a few of these in baggy form, as you can see here, so that you can sell them to people. Usually they're going to request one at a time, which is fine because you're selling them for like almost $900 per piece. So you can always just grab a brick, you take the brick to the packaging station. The reason why I have this here is you drag it into the output slot, and you can actually hit the package button and reverse it and pretty much unpack it. So it goes like that. And then you can grab some baggies that you can see I have over here, where I'll just, start like bagging these. You just click here to swap it to package again, and you can baggage them in baggies so that you can sell them yourself. So it's really simple. You're not going to have to do this very often because people aren't purchasing these in massive doses. So you're fine. Now you might have been wondering, what is the rest of the setup in the base? So you can see here, I actually have some storage over here. These are used to refill the mixing stations because these empty out really quickly as time goes on. There's also a drying rack here. This is because I've just unlocked a new area that requires a higher standard of quality. So this is moving into there where you'll maybe sacrifice some pots and use drying racks instead to get the product to be of higher quality. So you'll hit like dry and you'll let it dry until it's like the purple quality so that you can micromanage and make your own product to start unlocking new customers in the later regions. This is basically a whole setup that I use for myself. So this is like my little workshop that I fit into this little corner. You'll see that we have 2 beds over here. One is mine. The other one is 1 employee's because we can fit 9 beds at the top here. So at the top, you'll see it's 2 sideways, 3 vertically, and another 2 or another 4 in like a sideways pattern like this to fit 9 beds up here. And that's pretty much the entire layout that we have going. Now at this point, you're probably wondering, what is the recipe that we're using here? This is a very specific recipe. You'll see it stacked like this. I also recommend making a storage shelf that you have lined up that has the exact order that you never change. So it's going to begin with motor oil, Coke, paracetamol, gasoline, Coke again, batteries, horse milk, mega bean. So it's in that order. You'll see it pretty much has the same order here. So this just helps you remember, because if any of these run out, you have this to go oh, number 5 is Coke, number 4 is gasoline. So you can see here we have motor oil, Coke, paracetamol, gasoline, Coke, battery, horse milk, and then the mega beans. It will be really confusing at first when you have to get used to this, but eventually over time, you'll get used to this whole recipe thing, the 8 mixing stages. It's going to help you make a ton of money if you do it this way. All right, so let's talk about what you're going to need. First off, you're going to need to unlock the barn, which is located to the far right-hand side of the map over here. This you'll buy from the realty place over here. In terms of employees, you can have 10 employees here. We're going to have 1 cleaner, 2 botanists, 4 chemists, and 3 handlers, which you can see these 2 are stuck in each other for some reason. So that's the entire employee count that you're going to need. I also recommend at this point you have a vehicle. I recommend the big van like this because it actually has a ton of trunk space that you can store things to buy and deliver back to the barn, because man, you are going to be storing things, a whole lot of things. All right, so starting at the hardware store, I'm going to tell you what you can buy at the hardware store that you're going to need for this mega factory. You're going to need yourself some extra long life soil. You're going to need baggies, more for your personal use. You're going to need 10 beds, 11 if you're going to sleep here too. You're going to need an absolute crazy amount of large storage racks. I would say it's probably 20, 30 storage racks. Man, it's a ton of them. You're going to need 3 trash cans. And that's pretty much all you can get from the hardware store for now. Now, in order to make coke, you will have to unlock the Enforcer rank. And this comes with the docks region where you'll have to work your way to Salvador Morenos by, pretty much like getting a good friendly relationship with Javier, Marco, or Mac until you unlock him. And then you'll find him in your messages and you can either order a dead drop or ask him to meet up. He'll give you a location. You'll go to this location, you'll find him, and you'll be able to purchase as many of the seeds as you require to make. So they cost 150 a pop and you can buy as much as you need. The next location you'll head to is the gas mart, and I actually recommend going to this one on the northern side of the map. You should know where this is. There's actually a yellow loading bay that you can park your van on, and when you go inside the gas mart, you'll be able to purchase a bunch of stuff we're going to need here, and you'll see it will actually be loaded into the vehicle automatically, which is fantastic. So we're going to need double portions of the coke. We're going to need paracetamol. We're going to need gasoline, both for a mixing agent as well as for the cauldrons. We're going to need energy drinks. We're going to need motor oil. We're going to need mega beans. We're going to need batteries, and we're going to need horse milk. Those are pretty much all the ingredients that you're going to be purchasing a ton of and delivering it back to the warehouse, the factory, with your van. Alternatively, you can always use the deliveries app as well and go ahead and order from a gas mart and select the, like you want like 200 of these delivered to the location of your choice. So it would be like the barn, and then you'd place your order so that they deliver it and you can just grab it there. When the time in the game hits 6 p.m., you'll make your way to the warehouse. It's located over here. You've been here probably 1,000 times already. Go ahead and make your way to Oscar, who will be purchasing a bunch of stuff from. We're going to need moisture preserving pots. In our case, we're using 16 of them. You're going to need suspension racks as well. Full spectrum lights. You can also buy drying racks here so that you can up the quality of some of your resources. We can get the packaging station MK2 version that packs really quickly. You'll also have the brick press for sale here. Your mixing stations you can purchase here as well. You're going to need at least 2 lab ovens and 2 cauldrons for the setup. If you're going to have your own little lab like I do, you're going to need 3. Now let's begin assigning our workers to their stations. So starting with the cleaner, the easiest one, we can manage them with a clipboard, assign them a bed, and then for the trash cans that you need to assign, these trash cans are going to be located like so. So this trash can, which you see, covers these plants like this. The next one in the middle here that covers all of these plants like that. And then the next one is by the cauldron because the gasoline containers get dropped on the floor. So I put it right over here that covers that region so there's no dirt made on the floor over there. Once you've done that, you can hit escape and the cleaner is done. Next, we'll begin with the Botanists. So grab your Botanist, select them if they're stuck like this. So select him, assign him a bed, assign him a supplies crate. So the supplies for this one will be the first set over here. So it will be this container. So select this. Inside this container, you'll see we have the extra large soil, and we also have our coca seeds, which are going to be used to continue farming the pots. While still managing the Botanist, you will select your pots and drying racks, up to 8 of them. So select this, and while holding the shift key, you can select multiples. We're going to select 8 pots. So 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, like so. So he's going to manage those 8. Hit escape. That's all good. That Botanist is set up. Go to the next Botanist. You're going to go ahead and manage them, assign them a bed. Supplies crate is actually going to be this one over here. So pretty much the same thing we had in the previous setup. So it has soil and seeds inside here for them to use. Using the clipboard on them, you will go ahead and assign the 8 pots that they're going to work on, or drying racks, in case you want to change up the system a little bit. You're going to go here. You're going to select this pot that we didn't select earlier. That one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. That's going to be 8 pots, just like so. Hit escape to assign them, just like this. And then that Botanist is all good to go. We can now work on the 4 Chemists. So we're actually going to be using them in a very interesting way. So we're going to grab the first Chemist, assign them a bed, and we're only going to give them 3 stations because I don't want them wasting time doing too many other things. We'll start with the most simple thing. They're going to start on the cauldron, they're going to work on the lab, and they're going to work on this mixing station over here. Right? So those are the 3 activities that this chemist is going to manage. Hit escape. You'll see that's the 3 they have. Hit escape again. Now we're done with that chemist. We'll go to the next chemist, manage, assign a bed, and then the stations for this one is going to be the opposite end here. So it's going to be this cauldron, this lab, and this mixing station right behind it. So these three in a straight line like that is that one's job. Hit escape again. Those two chemists are assigned. We're going to go to the next chemist. So we'll start with this one, assign a bed, assign stations. And for the stations for this one, quite simply will be mixing station, mixing station, mixing station. So the three on the end side, hit escape, make sure they've got all that. And then you're going to go ahead and speak with the final chemist over here, assign a bed. For assign stations, we're going to, you probably guessed it, we're going to use the three mixing stations on the right-hand side. So 1, 2, and 3, the ones where we start the whole process, just like so. Hit escape, and that is all set up just like so. We now have our three handlers that we need to assign. So starting with our first handler, it will be this guy over here, assign a bed, assign a station. This one is going to be the only one with a station, and that is going to be the brick press. This person is the glorified brick maker. Then for routes, you're going to hit add new, add new, add new, add new, add new. And then pretty much for routes, we're going to go from here. And his job is pretty much going to be to take from this shelf and stack this mixer. Then he's going to take from this shelf, stack this mixer, take from this shelf, stack into this mixer, and this shelf into this mixer, this shelf into this mixer. And then pretty much in between doing all of that, because these things have a very long timer, he will then do brick pressing as he's done and available. So we've done the 5 mixers closest to the door. We still have to assign for those 3 at the back, which will go to our next handler, who will be his job. So this handler will grab him, assign him a bed. He's not going to use any stations, just add the 5 routes, and those routes are going to be like so. We're going to go here and we're going to make our way to the 3 mixing stations that we did not use. So these 3 in this corner, he's going to start here. He's going to take from this one and he's going to stack it into here. Then he's going to take from this one, stack it into here. Take from this one and stack it into there. Now, the one thing I must warn you about is that these shelves empty so quickly, which is probably the most frustrating part. At this point, you could stop if you don't want to use the final handler, but I'm actually going to use the handler we currently have and the other handler to basically use this extra storage of all of those ingredients to make sure that these are all filled up at all times so that they're pretty much, got double the storage size. So back to this handler that we weren't finished with. For his final 2 routes, we're pretty much going to go ahead and grab from these shelves. So let's grab from this first one over here, like so. You'll see there's 8 in a line to match the 8 that are down there. So grab from the first one and stack into the first shelf over here. So he's going to refill this shelf at the back. And then he's going to do the same thing for the second shelf. So second one over here into the second storage shelf right there. And that's all good for this handler. Now we can go ahead and assign the final handler to pretty much be a stacker as well. So this handler, go ahead, add all the routes, make sure they have an assigned bed, no stations, and they're going to grab from the 3rd shelf that we have here. So the 3rd one, like so, and stack it into the 3rd machine. So the 3rd storage access over here, boom. Then the 4th one, just like so, and then stack into the 4th one, which is over here. Then the 5th one, so it's going to be the 5th one right there, stacking it into the 5th storage one over here behind the 5th mixer. Then the number 6, which is going to be this one, stacked into number 6 over here. And then lastly, we unfortunately can't do the final one. We'll have to do the 7th one, which is this one, into the 7th mixer over here. This means that you will have to manage the final one, this one, by yourself. You'll have to make sure it's filled up at all times by yourself. I can actually recommend using the storage on the left here to have more of it so that you can just fill it up as it goes, because this is the one that's going to run out the slowest, because this is just before the final process. And in this case, instead of filling up each of those shelves at the back there, you just have to fill up these over here, pretty much the first 7, since the last one is actually we can't really assign a handler to it because the handlers don't have enough tasks to use. All right, so that's all for the workers. Now let's talk about the actual stations themselves. So with your clipboard out, we'll start with the pots, right? So we're going to select the 8 pots that we can select here. So we're going to have 8 of them select pretty much the same ones that the first botanist is working on. So it says manage 8 pots, hit E to manage. Use the seed that you want them to use. It doesn't matter because we're only stocking it with the one seed. Any additives you want to add, you'll add in the supply cabinet. I'm not using any. For the destination, I'm having them send it directly to the cauldron. The reason being is because the cauldron itself can store up to 80 of these leaves. So it's actually a pretty neat way to stack them up without actually having a handler have to grab them from here and then move them around. We'll then whip out our clipboard again and we'll grab the other 8 pots. So these ones over here, like so. Actually, I'm going to do 7. So just these 7 pots. I'm going to leave the final one for a different reason. Manage these 7, hit the destination, and we're going to send them to the second cauldron right there, just like so. And then we're going to select that final pot that we didn't manage. We're going to hit E, manage, send its destination to the drying rack. So pretty much the botanist will stack it into the drying rack. We will have to, however, actually click the dry button and make sure it hits the quality that we need. You can see here, we're making the maximum quality so that we can manage it with our own little lab and our own supplies to make superb quality for later on in the game. Okay, so we've done the pots. We can now work with the cauldrons. The cauldrons are simple. You're going to hold your clipboard, manage the cauldron, hit the destination to the lab that's nearest it, hit escape. Then you're going to go to the other cauldron, manage it. Its destination is going to be the lab closest to it, like so. And then from here, you're going to manage this lab oven. You're going to send its ingredients to this mixing station right here. Then you're going to go ahead and grab this lab oven and send its product to this mixing station over here where we begin. Hit escape, and now you're going to manage the mixing station. So manage, I leave the threshold on 1 because it doesn't really matter in this case. Hit the destination to the next one over, hit escape, manage, destination, the one over, escape, manage, destination over, pretty much repeating this process until it goes down the entire line of mixing stations. So you're just going to keep doing it like so that each one sends it to the next process. Manage the final mixing station, and this one is going to be sent straight to the brick press, which will only be usable once the brick press has 20 of the final product in order to actually press it. So we're going to manage the brick press as well, and the final product is going to be stacked into the shelf over here so that the bricks will be stored like this right there for us to grab and unpackage the way we showed you earlier. Now all you have to do is pretty much go ahead and pay all your employees. I like to stack all of their beds with the maximum amount of money because I hate having to come back here and pay them all the time, like with 1,000 at a time. So just stack them full of money. It is a bit of an investment at first to store all of this money in here, but once you're making enough bank, you should be fine. Like this is not that crazy. And once all of the employees' beds are paid, you'll see they'll pretty much get back to work and they'll start doing their stuff. The chemists over here will be emptying the cauldron, filling up the lab, taking the product from the lab to the mixing stations. And we'll just, show you how this all works from this perspective. And that's pretty much how this entire process works. You can see here, this end product is actually going to do this effect to you. And this is how we're going to make a mega factory for Coke. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and thanks for watching.